throw it in neutral and coast in with testmiles.com.
Keeping you connected to the automotive world, you're listening to Test Miles, America's automotive radio show. We'd like to thank you for being part of the Car Nation. For more fun facts about cars, please follow us on Twitter, Test Miles.
Over the past 68 years, Land Rover produced more than 2 million Defenders. It's estimated that 70% of them are still rolling over mountains and playing in the mud.
All right, Shaun, what have you been driving this week?
It actually wasn't this week. I drove it about a month ago in the snowstorm we had, but I had the Hyundai Tucson Sport with the 1.6 liter engine, and this car handled the snow like it was an all-wheel drive. It does come in an all-wheel drive, but I did have the front-wheel drive, and I had no problems driving in the snow with this vehicle. It took it on like a champ. Its competitors are the Honda CR-V, Ford Escape, Toyota RAV4. It has some great tech with Hyundai Blue Link system, which basically is, we've talked before, is Google-based. Do everything through your phone. You could locate your car when you're out lost in this parking lot. You can even remote start your vehicle. So some great technology there. Starting price is like $26,000. Perfect size, small little CUV, could fit your family in. We took it out in the snow and there was no problem with it. I recommend the car.
Excellent. All right. Well, I have lots of good friends in the auto industry, and one of them we try to pair up on every automotive launch that we go on. He owns a number of properties, but the ones you will be most familiar with are the Fast Lane car and the Fast Lane truck. Roman Micah, good morning. Thanks for giving up some of your Sunday. So what's going on at the Fast Lane car and the Fast Lane truck?
You know, it's crazy here. Thanks for calling, by the way. I love talking to you, Nick, and I miss going on our little trips together. I'm sure there'll be more in the future, but I've just been so busy. We do this thing called the Gold Hitch Awards, which is basically trying to figure out what's the best towing truck in the land. And what we do is we take a truck and we load it up to its maximum, and we tow it from the bottom of Silverthorne, Colorado, to the top of the Eisenhower Tunnel, and we see how it does. And then we give out an award to the trucks that do the best in about 7 different categories. So I've been a trucking, my friend. I've been a trucking.
What trucks have you been testing, or what trucks are this year's candidates?
You know, we test trucks fall into a bunch of different categories. There's light duty, there's heavy duty, there's mid-size, and of course we also test the truck-like cars, which people don't necessarily think of. Things like the Escalade, which is basically Silverado, you know, with seats in the back. And so we test all those, and then we also take them off-road if they're off-road worthy. So some of the trucks this year that are up for our award are the brand-new Tacoma, which obviously, you know, just came out. And interestingly, the one truck that isn't up for an award, unfortunately, is the brand-new Titan XD. And the reason that's not up for an award is because it's in its own class, right? It's not like a half-ton, and it's not like a heavy-duty truck. It's kind of a tweener truck. And if we were to test that, which we did, by the way, and actually put it in the Gold Hitch Awards, it would be in its own category, which means that it would automatically win, which means there would be no contest.
Yay for Nissan.
I think Nissan would love if we did that.
You know, and maybe what they could do is they could just pay for the trophy, and then there's no skin off your nose, right? Because you don't even have to test it, in a sense, too. I was actually in that truck for a week, too, and I really loved it, although my other half refused to drive it because it's just one of those big trucks that you can't park anywhere.
Yeah, it's a mighty big truck.
So how many years has the Golden Hitch Awards been going on?
This is our second year, and actually, you know what we give out? We give out these big Western belt buckles, you know, the kind that like Western, like, you know, the country Western singers wear. And since we're here in Colorado, that's kind of a big thing for us, so it becomes kind of a down-home, trucking thing. It's not fancy, it's just a lot of fun.
And so in years gone by, who's won these awards?
That's a great question, and you really put me on the spot because I've been so focused on this year's trucks. I don't recall, who won last year, so I don't want to speak out of turn. But if people are interested in seeing what trucks did the best last year, because it's really interesting, we grade them based on not just how they go up the hill. So from Silverthorne, Colorado to the Eisenhower Tunnel, it's a 7% grade. And if you've ever gone skiing, like in Keystone or in Breckenridge, you've probably gone up that section of I-70. And it's the highest allowable grade. And it's also at about 10 to 12,000 feet above sea level. So it really tests the trucks. And it's supposed to take 8 minutes if you're going the speed limit to go from Silverthorne up to the Eisenhower Tunnel. And then if a truck does that, we assign it 25 points. And then if it goes slower, we subtract points. We do the same thing going down. Every time we have to hit the brake, we subtract points. And that's how we end up grading the trucks.
Wait, so you don't have to hit the brakes all the way down?
No, every time the speed limit is 60, so every time it exceeds 60. Well, the heavy-duty trucks have these things called grade shifting, and, of course, some have exhaust brakes. So the truck will actually brake using the engine or the turbocharger if it has a turbocharger, if it's a diesel. And if it can hold the weight, which is substantial, because we were loading these things up anywhere from 5,000 to, this is fun, last year for the really big trucks, the dualies, we wanted to have something cool to tow up and down the hill, so we actually got a World War II half-track, and that was about, I think, 24,000 pounds that we were hauling up and down the mountain.
Excellent. All right, before we run out of time in this segment, let's talk a little bit about your Jeep experiences coming up. Yeah,
so the Easter Jeep Safari is coming up, and we did something pretty kooky, and I think a lot of fun. We took a Jeep Wrangler and drove it to the 50 highest points in all 50 states. We called it Motor Mountain USA. And the point was basically to take these same Western belt buckles actually that we use for the Gold Hitch Award and create one for each state and then geocache them, drive to the highest point, hide the belt buckle, and then have Jeep fans go and actually find these things. And it's been a really fun trip. It's been a logistic nightmare because it's very difficult to organize. I mean, imagine how many miles we're putting on a Jeep Wrangler, driving this thing to all the 50 highest points in all 50 states. And I did get to live kind of a bucket list moment with my son because we drove from Boulder, Colorado, all the way up to actually Dead Horse, Alaska, which is as high as you can go or as far north as you can go in North America. And that was a 4,000-mile trip one way.
And I know after talking to you, you may not ever want to do that again.
Well, here's the crazy part, right? So you get to Fairbanks, and you get on the Dalton Highway, which is basically the road that parallels the pipeline, the oil pipeline coming down from the oil fields at Prudhoe Bay. And it's basically a whole bunch of trucks just going up and down this thing. And, we're thinking we're pretty hardcore in this Jeep Wrangler, this bright red Jeep Wrangler. And we get to a little town called Coldfoot, which is halfway. It's like a truck stop, and it's the only gas station along the way. And then I look down the road, and this road is, keep in mind, it's rough, right? It's dirt, and it's muddy, and it's Alaska, and there are literally grizzly bears roaming up and down the street. It really is kind of as far wilderness as you can get. And I look up the street, and I see a convertible Miata, a brand new one, coming down from Dead Horse. And it turned out to be the Top Gear guys. They were shooting a segment. Now, not Top Gear, the video guys, but Top Gear, the magazine. And it just deflated my ego as much as you can get deflated.
Now, has everybody found all the belt buckles that you hid?
We publish a new video on TFLcar.com every Monday, so we call it Motor Mountain Monday. And within 2 to 5 hours, when we publish because what we do is we publish the geolocation of the belt buckle. Somebody claims it. So there are people waiting for that video to go live, and they go and find that belt buckle. It's a very nice belt buckle. It's actually pewter and silver, so it's an expensive belt buckle. It's not some cheap, like, crappy little belt buckle.
All right, Roman, how can people view your stuff?
Well, there's two places. If you want to see what the best towing truck in the land is, we're in the process of actually doing the Gold Hitch testing. And every time we test a truck, we create a video so you can actually see us going up and down the mountain, and that would be on TFLtruck.com, TFL, thefastlanetruck.com. Or if you want to check out our adventures in the Jeep, just go to TFLcar.com and click on MMUSA. There's a little link in the navigation bar, and you can see all the people who've claimed the various belt buckles.
All right. Well, you're actually well known on the show because we've driven together several times and recorded several radio shows, so the audience will know you, and I'm sure that we have many fans amongst our audience here who follow your stuff. But let's make a date to ride together again. Yeah, you bet. I'm really looking forward to the next trip where we get partnered up because, let's face it, me and you, when we drive, we have a lot of fun, probably more fun than we should be having. I know, and as long as we can upset some old fuddy-duddy journalists, I'm happy. Roman Micah from TFL, thanks, my friend. You're welcome. Thank you very much. When Test Miles returns, we're going to find out more about some products that are available on the market. We're going to talk to Ryan from Afterglow, and he's going to tell us what he's been testing in the aftermarket Get Your Car Clean Shiny Elbow department. That's coming up on Test Miles.